Salutations, anyone? I don't know how to see what we got here. What's going on? We got a button all down here. Quick link, quick share. Who should we do? We see news feed. Here we are live. Yes, I am live. Just give me one moment. I am putting a couple of live shares through here. And let's do this. All right, that's all I got. You're alive again. Hello and welcome back. I don't know if I'm going in and out, blacking out, blacking in. Just give me one moment. And then, all right, doing another share to another place, another quick share. I am live again. Just doing one more here. Quick up link. Oh, there we go. There we go. Nothing else. Oh, there we go. Messages, send this. Whoosh. Where should I do it at? Oh, no, not there. Wait, where's my blue sky? Where's my blue sky? Let's go to blue sky. Let's find blue sky. All right. Okay, I am back. I just shared it to the few places I wanted to share at. That took a good minute. All right, so I did a little reel, let you know, just go ahead and do a preview of that. And I bought some new knives. Look, I took them out of the package. So I'm gonna explain things again. So what you do is when you first get new knives, you make sure that you slice straight down the pedal here. Don't try cutting it on the freaking edges. That's just ridiculous. Or you got scissors, you know, and you go, you can go the easy route, but just slice it down the middle if you have a knife. And you know, this is the knife I used. It's really nice. All I did was go, you know, nice, good, sharp blade, but I do need to sharpen this. It's getting dull. And I got some new knives. So, which is great. You take it out of the knife and then you pop it open and you take the first blade out that's facing out. And then you go take the next blade out that's facing in. All right, because you want to get rid of the blade that could attack you when you're pulling this one out and the other blade's facing that way. No, don't do that. So both blades are facing in this direction. You pull the outer blade out first. That way you get that blade that's facing there we go. That blade is facing this way, out of the way, and then you pull that way. You see what I mean? When you pull this way, it's going to hit your hand, may hit into that blade there. So you don't want to do that. So that's the point. It also comes with these guys, but I'm not using these. I don't use those things because I've got me, I'm going to show you, is a knife board that goes in my drawer. I really like this knife board. Got a cleaver, nice little dull cleaver. You know, this is good for chopping stuff. Ouch! I poked me. See, it goes right into there. Just poked. And I also have this one. So I'll be keeping this knife because they didn't have a serrated knife. So I'll be keeping this one because it's still good, even though it's dull. And oh my gosh, it's not good. I mean, oh my gosh, if you want to look at that, let's get into that light. And it is, that jaggedness is all jagged. Literally, I am seeing a lot of problems in that already on this side of the blade. And I do want a new one. I know you can get that resharpened. And I'm like, no, because I've had it for so long and I am done with that blade. All right, but once I find a new jagged blade, I will. Hopefully what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look online for this brand to see if I can find another $4 knife at that jagged blade so I can just match up the things. So let me go ahead and pull out my blades. All right, I just got done sharp. I just got them out of the package. And then when you get them out of the package, they're going to have metal filaments all over that blade, or just all over the blades. All right. And what you want to do is basically shave and just go ahead and get that nice and sharpened through your whetstone. You just make sure you use a nice, good, fine whetstone. Take out those little metal filaments. Then you do a good full wash. Now it's ready for chopping. All right. Which is really great. Yay. I really like that. So I'm going to grab me a nice good cutting board and we're going to go ahead and start preparing and prepping for breakfast. So I want to get this guy onto this camera right here. And down we go. Bam. I know I got my cord plugged in. see here. It's really nice that I have a brand new microphone, and in that microphone, that cord is too much for this. Give me one moment. There, okay, reset. There we go. All right, apparently this cord, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this over in this direction to get it closer because I did not charge my phone. And I need to plug this in. One moment. See how this is? You probably hear me through that, but look at that, really nice. It's a nice dongle piece. And I'll be able to charge my phone as I go, and it's really great. So testing, 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 testing. There you go. It took 3 seconds to reconnect to the Bluetooth and the mic. So that's really great. I like that. Plugging in. Now, Why is it? There we go. That took 6 seconds. So I just got done plugging in, and it took 6 seconds to get the microphone to reconnect here to here. Don't know if you heard differences, but that stopped working because I can hear myself talk, which is really great with this. So now I can literally hear that I'm doing something, got the right sounds. I have, the settings on correctly. So there we go. Boom. I like that setup. Looks really great. So I'm going to grab my pan, and I'm just going to be using this guy to make my potatoes, which is really great. Yay. Nice, good, heavy lid. I'm going to put that over there on the lid thing and make sure that over fry. I'm going to clean this pan out. So what happens when you heat it up after you clean it? I'm grabbing a new scouring pad. That cord is heavy. Let me get that cord. There we go. And bam. That took care of the issue. So plugging in, you got to make sure that cord is connected to a battery to the stand. That way the cord is short, and when you're on a gimbal, I am on a gimbal, so it'll move around. Put it on a more sturdy thing, unless you want to keep moving things around. If you can't hear that water running, maybe just a little bit. I do have this on noise cancellation. If you want to learn how to cook, stay in something simple, something that tastes so good, something that gets you feeling, full after you're done eating. You're like, I don't cook for myself, that takes too long. Well, microwaving still takes a long time. Just eat an apple, you'll be done and over with. If you don't like cooking, only eat fruit. That shit's already well prepared for you. By nature, by farmers. That's on play. I like microwaving my food. Just make sure you buy the good stuff. None of the cheap ingredient. Got all kinds of stuff in it, not really meant to have in food. There we go. Almost done scrubbing. Do you hear something on my microphone? Perhaps I should put the windbreaker on, so maybe it'll be a beard breaker. There we go. Completely cleaned. Got my pan all scrubbed. There we go. Let's get a little more water out of that. And I'm going to turn this on to 4. That's the biggest thing to do, is that when you're cooking, you're doing the right temperature of what you're cooking. So, and I'm going to be frying potatoes with not with oil, but with a butter. Okay, and I like this butter, and you notice I keep this butter out because I like my butter to be, well, soft, not cold. All right, I don't like cold butter. It doesn't melt better. It doesn't melt as good. So I'm going to be using my new knives, and these are my new knives. Look at that chopper. Look at that guy. It cost me, guess what? $4. I'm going to put that over there. And this right here, the paring knife. Look at that. It cost me $4. I think so. No, it didn't. It cost me $2.50 plus tax. And guess what? Utility knife. I really never had a utility knife, unless you would think, let me see here. Where's it at? I used it. I put it away. I used it. Where'd it go? I don't understand. Test. My utility knife. I had it was like a little curve. And then there's also the little chopper. Look at that. Which is really, I'm going to be using all of these. I'm going to test those guys out. But I'm going to put these away. I'm going to be testing out that guy first. So let's get this started. First things first is to charge your phone before you ever go live. You know, I was like doing so much on it. Let's grab the potatoes. That's not my potato. All right, these are my potatoes. I'm going to quickly wash them and clean them. You don't need to see the process. They've already been washed and cleaned. So, do you really want to check? Let's do this. There we go. So the way I do this is make sure you always have something to put your food in. And then you grab your potato scrubber, all right, and you turn the water on low. Barely a drizzle. Make sure your water's a drizzle. And then, so you're not wasting the amount of fresh water on the planet. And then, nice good scrubbing. Now, all of my vegetables are already clean, so the thing is, though, because they've been sitting out, I'm going to re-wash the potatoes. There we go. Let's grab my other stuff. I gotta make sure I move the cord to where it's not so heavy. It's a heavy cord. All right. Let's see. Oh, that'll be tasty in there. That'll be tasty. Make sure we start grabbing our bins full of vegetables. Let's see what we got here. I'm gonna be grabbing some radishes too. I need to eat those up. And these green onions need to be eaten up, sure. Oh, there's more. So what you want to do is you want to grab food that'll, that looks like, because you're frying, you're not eating it raw. I'd rather have the raw. When I eat raw vegetables, I do my best to make sure they're the freshest possible. So we're going to get one of those. We're going to get one of these guys. Oh yeah, I'm just going to chop, grab a few of these bok choys while I'm in there, Grab a couple of these guys right there. Now I'm going to grab my beet. All right. All right, I think that's all of that. There you go. That's all of that. Okay. I'm I'm realizing how many vegetables I don't have anymore. There we go. That works. Oh no, we need I have no peppers. That's okay. There we go. Okay, there we go. All right, so I got all this. This has already been cleaned before I threw it all in the veggies, but we'll be looking over these again. Let's see here. Look at the bok choys. Make sure the bok choys are good. Sometimes it's still, even after you clean bok choy, they still have a little bit of specks inside there. Now I'm going to go ahead. See, I got one of these guys, so I'm going to chop off these edges here. All right, I got everything cleared and cleaned and ready to go. And last thing, get me a sweet potato. So I'm cooking for just myself. All right. There we go. I'm going to put that right back. Sweet. So the first thing I want to do is start cutting up the hard stuff, the stuff that it's going to take 10 minutes to cook before I put the vegetables in. So I want to get all the roots. And now that pan heated up, I'm going to just turn it off because I had to make sure I get all that water out. And no need to waste paper towels, just turn on the burner. I'm just going to turn that pan off after having it on 4, just 4. So this is my first time chopping with this guy, and this is actually feel really great with my new knife. It's really big. I've been like using a small knife to chop up all my stuff, you know. So I'm going to show you the way I chop these guys up. So, you know, most people will chop down and slice, you know. This is a pretty big blade, so I want to make sure I handle it just right. So you want to chop down in an angle, pull out, chop down. So this is a very big blade, and I think this would be really great to do with elongated things. Because what I'm seeing here is that this is too big of a blade to chop these guys. Even though it's kind of heavy, it's nice and sharp, it's got really greatness on that. I'm going to grab my small blade. It's actually a lot lighter, and so I'm going to try that. I'm going to go down. That actually felt like it took a little bit more power to do, and then I'm going to go like that. I'm going to put those together, and you know, you're like, don't chop like that. But the thing is, though, this is the reason why I never chop in squares, ever. So I never chop in squares. And you can see how those roam and how they just separate really easily. So when you chop potato or sweet potato and you don't want them sticking to each other while you're cooking, never chop in squares. So I'm going to just like go down on it, down on it, down on it, down on it, and down on it. And we'll just move here. Nice. Move it over one thing at a time. You want precision, polygonic cuts here. You know, you're probably like saying, your hand is in the way. That's okay. You know, let's do that. So these are 2 rectangular. There we go. And you notice I'm always going to cut at an angle. So I'm going to move that over. It's time for the potatoes. Let's grab all the rest of these roots. There we go. So this is a pretty small. I'm going to go with a big one. So I'm going to always start with this big blade because I've always been cutting with a small blade. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to put my blade at an angle. I'm not going to chop down. I know it's like, why don't you chop down? Why are you chopping at an angle? Because I want this at an angle, because it puts the potato at an angle. I know, you're like, what? It was a first slice. you know, just chopping down at an angle, chopping down at an angle, chopping at an angle to angle my food. Give it those angles, give it those angles, and chop them small, because the smaller they are, You know, let me show you a couple of these here. Look at that. That's nice and small enough. And look at those those nice little shapes they got going on there. And we're gonna go angle, 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 and then I'm gonna do a nice little side swipe there, and boom. This is so easy. Always check your potatoes for, things that look like bugs came in and ate at it. So you can always check the outside. Like for instance, this guy has there. See that stuff? When you see things like that in a potato, I don't ever eat that kind of stuff. I chop that stuff out, not a fan, Get a bag of potato chips and it looks like you had that crap in there on the side of your potato, and I'm like, oh, they had a fry in it, all that. So, boom. I mean, seriously, this is great. I mean, I don't want to, let's look at that nice little, I like that. My other blade that I've been using, it has a lot more curve to it. So I need to get used to this. I'm already used to this. This is too big. But yes, there we go. Nice. See how they don't clunk together? That's nice. That one's still too big. There we go. So I'm just going to and then I'm going to switch that around and just go new. So it had those things in there, and this is what I was talking about. They look at that. You see that black mark? You can see, that right there. Yeah, not a fan. You can see that block mark right there. From that, I cut a big chunk off of that. But, I'm just put that to the side because it's still kind of there. I'm like, That's what I don't want to do. Okay. Right there. Not a fan. So, boom, boom, boom. You can do it straight down on the first one if you want. And you can see here, and I'm just cutting at angles because I like to cut at angles. The texture is better. It holds the spices better. It soaks. It really does. It's also so easily turnable in the pan that it'll just go all over the place and fry just right. I mean, people like they want their squares. They want their the perfect cuts. And I'm like, it's just so hard to, to literally turn into the pan and cook. That's here. That's enough potato. Let's go put this one back. Next is the beets. I'm going to take off that head, and then I'm going to basically take off that tail. Those things are just very fibrous, and so I don't eat these little things. Put off to the side. Now I'm going to just slice it, and slice it. Beets are just as hard, and they have to cook just as much if you want them to get a little bit crispy on the outside edges, just like your potato. And you want to have that little fried taste to your beets. Now I'm using yellow beets right here. And with yellow beets, I'm able to, it doesn't dye anything, and you're still getting the beet, what I'm saying, the tasty, yummy, delicious beets. Because beets are good for you. And how do I get enough beet in my diet? Well, you can put it raw into your salad. For salad, I'll do a whole salad thing. But I make the cuts different for salad. All right. So, but for frying, I do this for frying because, it's better for you. You see how that'll just turn up like that? So we're going to do some cuts up like this, and what happens is it separates, prevent actual clinging together. So that's the reason why I never do squares, because it will just cling. Now, this is good to eat. So I'm going to do is look at that and make sure there's no dryness on the edges. And since there are, I'm going to take those off because I don't care about that. But I do like this. This has a lot of nutrients in it. This right here, slice it in half first. Make sure there's no dirt particles in there because some people don't know how to clean these things, and then just chop it up. And that's going to stick to the pan, so just chop that up a lot smaller. And then try to make sure you chop it to where it won't stick to the pan. And you got fiber. That's good fiber. It gets fried up in there really well. It really does. Now for the carrot. Throw it in your sink. Throw that into the sink. I don't like the ends. See here. Carrots are different. Carrots are totally different, So let's go ahead. This is a very big carrot. So this is another reason why I grabbed this one. This is a big carrot, all right? And there's a way you want to cut this. So first thing you want to do is make sure it's just leveled, okay? That's what you want. And then start here at the mid and then go down the middle. Boom. Start here at the mid, go down the middle. All right. Now you can see it's just nice and cut up, really easy, but those are still too big. And none of that, maybe, but you can see that's a pretty big one right there. So what I want to do is start cutting off and angle, 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 until you get to where you got done cutting it. So now, look at that. They're not sticking together. And they're not rolling off the table, off the board. So don't cut rolls. They won't cook right. It never cut circular, thing. So you just see that right there. That will roll too much. And that will roll in there, and it won't cook right. Make sure it's chopped up correctly where it can fall and go anywhere, and there. So do the same thing here. And then slice it straight down, and then so I'm slicing this way, turn this down, angle, down, angle. Let's check this out. Yeah, I don't want this end piece. All right, so that's now I got my roots done. Yep, all roots are done. Let me wash my hands. All right. All right, so now we want to do is turn the oven back on. Turn the stovetop on to number 4. Not 5, not midway, not 6, not 10. Don't do that stupid shit. So we can use a variety of oils. One of my favorites is walnut. It gives it a thick, very in-depth flavor, but we're not going to use walnut right now. Oh yeah. Smell the oil to see if that's the oil you want to use. But I want this to be buttery. So this is good. So now we're going to pull out my utensil. And here we go. Make sure you always sand those tips. Look, I need to start sanding that one down again because you see it's starting to get rough up again. So you want to make sure you get a belt sounder. A belt sounder. It has that curve in there. Get it in just like and around those edges with the belt sander. Yes. So use a belt sander to resharpen that tool. So we got this thing going up. Now we're going to basically have this nice good amount of butter in there. Bam. We'll probably put more in later. All right. So now here is my mixture of roots. So I got yellow potato, a type of sweet potato, carrots, purple carrot, and yellow beets. See, my pan was already warm and hot from earlier. And we're just going to get all that in there. Oh, that's a lot of carrot. That's the reason why I took away a potato, because I knew that carrot would take a lot, so I would do half of that. There we go. Awesome possum. You can see how much is in that pot, yes. Let's get that a little closer. Make sure we don't get the cake. Yeah. There we go, and light. Ta-da. So we're going to start there. I can already tell that that oil, that butter is just flat onto the ground. That was not enough. So we're going to grab some more. There we go. Let it melt really good. Once that's melted, don't worry about the man. Oh, I see. Remember, I got my cord plugged into this thing. It's a heavy cord. I'm going to basically get me a side thing for my stand. That way I can just plug the cord into a battery pack. So that way, you know, I can do this. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. Now, just stirring the butter in there. Now that the butter's fully melted, it's still on 4 on the burner. We don't want it too hot. We want to do a slow cook. Now when we add salt, this is sea salt. Shake it up, which I finally blended. You can see the dust coming out of that. Finely blended salt. Now you want finely blended salt to go in. Stir. Finely blended salt. There you go. A lot goes a little way when it's finely blended. Next is some pepper. Now, I always put pepper on after the salt. And I always put pepper on before I put the vegetables in. All right, so we want to do a nice coarse ground pepper, not any, you know, finely coursed. You can do finely coursed first. Stir that in. Stir that in. Make sure that the pepper is getting into the oil as well as into as much as you cover. You want to make sure everything is speckled. There we go. Just make sure it's all just speckled. There we go. Yay. Perfect. It's speckled. Let me get my pot holders out. Now, I'm actually having a fun time on this new microphone. And look at that. Nicely speckled with salted and pepper. That's it for now. What I'm going to do is this, now that I stirred it around, grab the lid and lid it. Now we got to let that just sit there for a few minutes and occasionally stir. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean my board. Next things next is to start with old vegetables. Like for instance, already sliced up red bell pepper, leftover cauliflower, but I'm going to wash this with the same potato brush. Rinse the potato brush, have the water going a little higher to penetrate the cauliflower flowering flowers, and scrub that cauliflower. Especially it's been sitting for days. Shake down all that water out. And make sure you always do the stuff you have to wash first. So wash it and let it dry for a bit. But you can put this all in with the moisture that it has on there with the water because it's water inside there anyways. So this is how I do cauliflower. So it's like a nice little break. Let's see here. I want to eat all this up. And I don't eat this part. See here, it's just too tasteless for me and fibrous. So I'm going to basically cut this down, cut that down. This is too big. I'm going to cut that down. This is pretty much fine, but I'm going to remember it's all about turnability. It doesn't turn good enough, you know, in there. You don't want them big either. You want them to cook fast, and you want them to cook fast and for a short time, pretty much. So, and you can see here, I'm just cutting down the florets. Just like that. See, you can't keep it like that, so we got to slice that in half a bit to where it doesn't fall, these little specks try not to fall apart, because you want them, you know, to be able to also sit. You know, they're too big, they won't cook. So you want a couple of flat ends. Don't let them get too small. You don't need a long stem there. There you go. There we go. Perfect. Let's put all that to the side. All right. Let's cut this. I prefer the, I think these are the females. Females. And I'm going to cut these up like this. I'm going to turn them upside down. And let's go. It's like, yeah, look at that. Nice and heavy. I'm going to actually use this big knife on there. Just going to do slices for that at first. Just cut them down. Now it makes it easier. And the reason I'm making all this food is because I'm going to be eating it. It's already 10 o'clock. And I have an appointment later. So I need to finish all this up. I just got done topping 2 vegetables. That way.
Oh.
And let's see here. Oh, I would love to have a nice kitchen with them. So I'm chopping these down, and the more you chop them down, the more they integrate themselves. Since I don't have any other peppers, it's good just to use up all of that. Let's go ahead and move all that to the side. Nice little chops. There we go. Boom. Now where is my tea? Just give me one moment. There we go. All right. Move all that stuff out of the way. Next, stir. Grab a mitt. Make sure that drains. Do a stir. That's looking really good. All right, I do not need a yellow bell pepper. I need to put enough red in it. Oh. All right, let's get the next best thing. And even though these are roots as well, they're watery roots. And radishes taste really good when you cook them. You're like, what? You're supposed to eat those raw? No, anything can be cooked. Remember anything? Just about stuff. I mean, fruits can be cooked, but it turns into a fructose, tasty syrup reduction for flavoring sauces. There we go. All good. That's those. Hey, next. Oh, the most intense. Oh, shoot. Oh, there it is. I also usually do cabbage, but today I'm going to use Brussels. Now for Brussels, I always chop off that stuff right there. I don't like that. You know, it's dry. There we go. And then I always test to make sure that the inside of the Brussels are clean, because a lot of times they are not, because they're just like the way they harvest some of them in some places is really unsanitary, you know. So always make sure they're clean, all the way up underneath all that. Chopping down. There we go. That's actually fine. Turn them into some nice little thirds or eighths. You know, you can, you know, make sure they're clean. Chop it in half. Chop it down one more. And what that does, it just gives it like the ability to cook faster, because we don't want them cooking for long. We want them just to penetrate to the middle. And that's the reason why we cut vegetables down to a minimum when we're frying, not whole big vegetables. It takes longer to cook, and it'll start frying the edges too much, you know, because you got to fry it just to get penetrated, to cook to the center of these thick Brussels. You know, you got to make sure, like I said, they are clean on the inside. Did really well cleaning them later. There we go. And this is what I meant by a nice, good, perfect Brussels cut. That's all it takes. It'll separate and loosen up in the pan. All right. That's looking good. All right, Brussels are done. Now this could feed 2 to 3 people if you do it right. Let's do this. You. Now, just like that, I just slice down. Some do get cut up in the process, but I do like my rings. I do not like it when that happens, though. I won't, you know. So, you know, everyone's got their particulars. You don't have to push those apart because they'll fall apart in the cooking process. And for here, I'm going to take those guys off, put them off to the sides. Oops. Now you can do slices. Make sure you always, you can just chop them like that if you want. Or the way I also like to do it is at a good angle. See that? And what that does, it gives it a nice good, much more oniony. See that? This is what I like doing. Nice little angle slices. Cooks really well, gives it flavor, adds depth. So you got some little ones and some long ones. There we go. Those are done. Those are done. Next is some bok choy, because I got to eat these guys up. Ooh. And apparently I forgot a radish. There we go. Get that off there. Okay. For bok choy, what I do is pretty much, I like long slivers, you know, like this. Nice little long slivers. You know, kind of like, you chop a bit of that up. There we go. A couple small ones, you know. Doesn't have to be pretty, like, oh my gosh, you're destroying bok choy. I'm like, I'm not destroying bok choy. You know? So I'm going to get a bit of that green here, as well as the white. Nice little slice downs. I'm not a fan of the end piece. It's just different texture, different flavor, different blend, you know. There we go, see? Boom, all perfect. I really like that. Put that back in there. So here we go. Nice little cuts. I really like those cuts. And it'll just open up. What I'll do with that though, so it has an end piece in there. And let's break that off and put that away. Check the other one, that's fine, that one's fine, that one's fine. Cool, cool. And now, all that's done. It's all cut out. Put that blade away. Just check the pan and stir. Oh, see, by the time it got all cut up, this has now become fried and ready. Still at power level 4 on the stove top. That was good. Now, I'm gonna put the lid up. And let's go ahead and put the cauliflower in. We want those on the bottom. We want to try and also get the greens in first, before the peppers maybe, or whatever, vice versa. Either turn. Now, I got these all on top. I'll just break those apart, make sure they're not all together. And we want that to set to steam. I did not add any other sauce. Now as that cooks, I'm going to go ahead and put stuff away and clean up. Guys, go ahead and just watch the cooking process, and we can chat about my new microphone, my new knives, because that's what this conversation is about. It's basically to see how well this works. So I did a reel, and that reel was to test the microphone level at 8 decibels, and it worked absolutely just fine. It really did. And it worked so well that I had music going in the background too at a pretty good level, and it did not pick it up. And I were like, oh my gosh, heck yes. Now I can have many good lives at the gym. So today was a test to basically see how well this worked. And I'm very happy with it. I mean, do you hear me in the water? Do you hear the water? Maybe a little bit. I'll check this live when I'm done. Now, what does this have to do with my wellness? Well, as a wellness clinic, saying wellness center, same thing, just name it as a clinic. I am basically trying to guide and coach people on better ways to thrive, better ways to eat, better ways to stretch, better ways to do their own self-therapy, which is, it's not out there. It's not, guys, it's just not in one place. You got all these expensive places saying, do this, do that, charging you $40 to $80 a month just to try to, plan your existence in a way that corresponds with their ways that only works for a certain amount of people, And it just, I just see the problems, that people go through. I feel the problems that people go through. Their eating habits. Everyone's eating habits differ, Everyone has to learn to eat well instead of eat lazily. Because a lot of times, their lazy eating is causing problems in their body. It's like, this is my problem, this is my problem, this is my problem. And I'm like, then when was the last time you changed your diet or checked your diet to see if what you're eating is not sufficient enough or causing an issue or you have an allergy with? And I ask people, did you ever get an allergy test? And they're like, never. And I'm like, because I just kind of know. And I'm like, I didn't know I was allergic to pork. I didn't feel like I was having any problems with it. But once I got tested, allergy tested, to see if there's anything going on with me, because I thought, I was going in for an allergy test for, weeds and grass and all that stuff. So they said, you want a full test? I go, yeah, I'll do a food test too. And I got a food test. And oh my gosh, allergic to pork, allergic to cashews, allergic to pears, allergic to grass. It's not fun. It really isn't fun to be allergic to all those things, and you have to stop eating those things. And I'm like, how did I become allergic to pork? How long have I been allergic to pork? And you can see this beautiful array of foods. It looks great in there, don't it? It's starting to turn out real well. It's getting pretty close to where it's going to be done in about a few minutes. It's already 10:20. I'll have to scarf this down. The point of this live is to test exactly how much you can hear me doing all this background noise and putting things together, and cooking and that kind of stuff, And I'll be reviewing this live for the new microphone, as well as knowing I needed to continue with my setup. There was plenty of butter in there, which is really great. So let me just close that lid, and put my butter back. All right. I did not use these knives, but they're going to go into my knife selection. Oh, can't open the door yet. Oh, so there we go. This is all done. I'm going to grab my bowl. Almost done here. There we go. Come back in. Another stir. Now, you can add sauces to this. I prefer bland today. I'm going out tonight, so I don't want anything spicy. Or saucy, so salt and pepper, vegetables. No other spice. It tastes just as good. It really does. Patience is a virtue. Do you have the patience? Do I need to add background music for you? Should you have your own background music going as you watch this, so that way you do not distract yourself from the video coaching of making a nice, good, delicious breakfast. It's already 10:21. I started at 10 o'clock. It took 21 minutes to do this. 25 total to get it the pan, blah, 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 then wash everything possibly. Make sure you get all that water out of there. There we go. Let's put that lid on. Do a final stir. All that stuff looks great in there. Try not to bang your pan. It's annoying when people do that. It's annoying when I do that. So I'm going to put that right there. All right. Let's go over here, move over here. Just want to make sure you guys can see all of that going in there. Get all of that. And then, the best part is licking the spoon. Because you can just taste the flavor, get to test it out, see if you need to add a little bit more of anything. Let's see here. Add just a little bit more salt on the top. Grab your big ass spoon and see how beautiful that was. Let's bring that to you. Because I'm going to be shutting the video off. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and make yourself a 6-serving breakfast and enjoy your food. See, there you go. If you got a smaller body than me, don't add so many potatoes. Do like a third or a quarter of a sweet potato. Do a smaller carrot. Add a bunch of veggies between cabbages and florets, and all types of different roots like beets and radishes and daikon. You can add that to your stir fry, fried potato meal, and that is what you're going to get, is the full amount of colors you need for your diet, for your food to last all day with energy and goodness for your body. This is what you're supposed to be eating for your breakfast, not a cereal. I do fiber at night: oats, rye, barley's, buckwheat, flaxseed, hemp seeds. I eat that at night because that can make you lethargic. That stuff is meant for digestion while you sleep. Best to eat it when we eat that pottage and porridge of oats and rye and barleys and wheats and stuff like that is before bedtime. Yes, it can carb up before you and maybe have a little bloated belly when you wake up, but you're going to have the best digestion. So here is potassium, vitamins, minerals, stuff to wake you up and give you energy for the day. And this is what you need, not a bloody banana, not eggs, not bacon, not salamis, not sandwiches, not, microwave meals, not pancakes. Eat your flax pancakes at night. There's a reason for that. It's called fiber before you sleep. But you eat it like an hour or two before you sleep. So when I eat my oats at night, I'll eat it a few hours before sleep. And I still got my fiber. I ate my secondary nightly meal because dinner wasn't enough. And you're like, I need to eat some more. Well, eat a bit of oats and pottage. It's good for you. It's good fiber. That's what you're supposed to be eating before bedtime if you need more snack. Not potato chips, not popcorn. You know what I mean? Not candy. So, breakfast, pottage for a late night snack, and you're going to be great every morning you wake up and every day that you fulfill yourself with this type of nutrition. You have a good day, subscribe, and watch for more videos on how to be healthy and how to feel great for the whole day. Toodaloos.